My spouse was unfaithful, accused me of being violent, and forced me to provide child maintenance for over a decade. Later, I learned I wasn't the biological parent. I took her to court. What followed devastated her completely. Greetings, Reddit community. I'm sharing this here. I hardly know how to start, but I suppose the straightforward approach is best, since even now, folks stare at me as if I'm fabricating the tale when I recount the events. I 45M encountered my former spouse, whom I'll refer to as Lydia 42F during our university days. She was charming, self-assured, and possessed this knack for making me believe I was the center of her world. We were together for several years, and in 2003 we tied the knot. Back then, I believed I was wedding my closest companion. By 2006, our girl Emily arrived, or at least I assumed she was mine. I'll explain that shortly. The initial phases of being parents seemed positive, or that's what I thought. However, Lydia began to shift. Evenings spent with colleagues grew more common, she became inseparable from her device, and our closeness essentially vanished. Whenever I inquired, she'd manipulate the situation, labeling me as suspicious or domineering. That's when the psychological manipulation started. In 2010, it all erupted. Suddenly, Lydia informed her relatives and a few of our acquaintances that I was verbally and psychologically harmful. I was stunned. I had never touched her aggressively, never raised my voice harshly, never insulted her, but she convinced everyone I was controlling that I demeaned her, that she felt imprisoned. It didn't help that it was all fabricated. Once those accusations spread, they lingered. My own folks doubted me. Longtime buddies distanced themselves, and soon the separation documents arrived. I battled for guardianship, as I refused to forsake my child. But Lydia portrayed the sufferer so convincingly in the proceedings, weeping about fearing me. She even sought a protective order, which the magistrate rejected for insufficient proof. Yet ultimately, she received primary guardianship, and I was mandated to cover child expenses. For a dozen years, I labored tirelessly to ensure those payments were made, even if it involved foregoing food, parting with my vehicle, and taking extra shifts. I didn't wish for Emily to endure because of our failed union. Over those dozen years, Lydia continued to turn Emily against me. Each conversation was distant. Each meeting briefer than before. When Emily reached 15, she scarcely communicated with me. She echoed phrases like, "Mom claims you never valued us," or "You're why she weeps constantly." Nevertheless, I persisted with the payments. I kept appearing. I kept attempting. Then last year, as Emily turned 17, I observed something unusual. We were at a modest eatery for her celebration, and the server, a lady in her 40s, kept gazing at us. When I questioned if all was well, she replied, "Apologies, but your girl resembles my relative's offspring exactly, eerily alike." Initially, I dismissed it, but it lingered in my mind. A few months on, following another strained, uncomfortable encounter, I purchased a paternity test. I didn't even desire to. I felt ashamed for questioning, but an inner voice urged verify. I sent it in, awaited weeks. Then the notification arrived. 0% likelihood of fatherhood. I scanned it thrice. My fingers trembled so intensely I almost let go of my device. My whole reality shifted. For 17 years, I had faith I was a dad. For 12 of them, I gave up so much, both monetarily and sentimentally. And it was founded on deception. I challenged Lydia. She didn't refute it. Actually, she chuckled. She laughed directly at me. Her precise statement etched into my memory. "Did you truly believe you were capable enough to sire my offspring? I've been aware from the start she wasn't yours, but you were foolish enough to act the role, so I permitted it." I vow. I nearly fell apart on the spot. The fury, the sorrow, the embarrassment, it all clashed. I informed her I was pursuing legal action. She grinned smugly as if she figured I was pretending. But I was serious. I located an attorney focused on domestic disputes and deceit claims. I possessed the genetic findings, records of payments spanning years, and proof of her fabrications. We constructed a lawsuit not only for repayment of support funds, but also for psychological harm from slander, her bogus mistreatment allegations. The judicial ordeal was exhausting. Lydia attempted to depict me as resentful and retaliatory. She asserted I was solely motivated to penalize her and wound Emily. But the genetic evidence was irrefutable. When her counsel inquired why she concealed the facts, Lydia collapsed and confessed she feared losing monetary aid if the actual parent, a wedded colleague then, abandoned her. The magistrate's expression revealed everything. Ultimately, the decision arrived. Lydia was required to refund a segment of the support I had dispersed. Not the entirety, as certain tribunals view it as a contribution to the youngster, but sufficient to impact her. She was penalized for libel stemming from the mistreatment assertions that had damaged my relationships and prospects, and she currently confronts potential felony accusations for deceit. The harshest aspect, however, Emily. She discovered in the hearing that I wasn't her natural dad. She faced her mother, weeping, questioning if it was accurate. And Lydia? She merely remained seated quietly. Emily gazed at me as if her entire existence had been torn asunder. She hasn't communicated with me since that moment. I don't fault her, she's a casualty as well. She matured accepting falsehoods much like I did, regarding Lydia. The lady who once demolished me with gossip now roams the community with folks murmuring about her. The identical kin and companions who trusted her narratives now recognize the reality. She forfeited her trustworthiness, her standing, and shortly her liberty. It doesn't seem like triumph, it seems like ruins. I achieved fairness, certainly, but I forfeited the sole youngster I ever nurtured. I forfeited years. I'll never recover them. I disclose this because I'm aware there are guys out there who believe too naively, who give without inquiry, who care without reservation, only to be deceived in the most vicious manner. If you're perusing this, don't disregard your gut feelings. Deceptions corrode all from within, and when the facts eventually erupt, it doesn't merely fracture, it obliterates. Following the judicial verdict, I assumed perhaps, just perhaps, the ordeal had concluded. I had revealed Lydia for her true nature. I had evidence that I wasn't harmful, that I wasn't negligent, that I wasn't the fiend she portrayed. But if existence has shown me anything, it's that disloyalty doesn't cease with the judge's strike. A month post-hearing, Emily contacted me. For an instant, my pulse raced. I imagined she might wish to converse. Perhaps she sought explanations. Perhaps she desired a connection with me regardless of all. But when she arrived at my residence, her expression indicated differently. She entered as if it were hers, folded her arms, and declared, "You must cease this. You must pardon Mom." I stared, astonished. "Pardon me? She committed errors, all right, but you hauling her into proceedings, embarrassing her before all. What does that accomplish? You retrieved your funds, you devastated her existence. Isn't that sufficient?" I endeavored to remain composed. "Emily, she deceived me for almost 20 years. She compelled me to finance a kid who wasn't mine. She informed the globe I was harmful. That's not an error, that's devastation." But Emily's demeanor stiffened. "She's still my mother and she's everything to me. You should have simply released it. Genuine men don't cling to resentment this extensively." That final remark struck me like an unexpected blow. Genuine men? After all I had relinquished, after each festivity I endured solo, after every cent I invested in her upbringing, she dared to deem me inferior for resisting. A week on, Lydia phoned me. I nearly ignored it, but some idiotic segment of me hoped she aimed to express regret. Instead, she reverted to her former strategies. "Look, I realize matters intensified in the hearing, but you and we needn't be adversaries. We can resolve this for Emily's benefit." I chuckled sourly. "Resolve this? You deprived me of parenthood, you tarnished my image, and you anticipate me to what? Join for tea and act as if it never occurred." She exhaled. That identical rehearsed exhale she employed to unsettle me when I was too innocent to detect. "You're isolated, I detected in your tone. You don't wish to age solitary, right? We might arrange something, nobody needs the specifics. Emily would honor you once more if you halted this pursuit." That was her scheme. She believed she could charm her path out of repercussions. Believed she could tempt with kinship like an incentive. I responded bluntly. "You exploited me, you pilfered from me, and now you desire me to aid you reconstruct the facade of deceptions you incinerated." Nevermore, and I disconnected. Shortly after, Emily messaged me. "One sentence, no salutation, no affection, you'll rue abandoning us." Us, not me, not father, us, as in her and Lydia, a united front. That's when I realized. My bond with her had ended. Perhaps someday, when she's more mature, when she's experienced sufficient to identify coercion for what it is, she'll return. But presently, she selected her mother's faction. It aches more than anything. I didn't merely forfeit a partnership. I didn't merely forfeit currency. I forfeited the single individual I believed would eternally be mine. My offspring. Lydia still endeavors to reach me. Messages, recordings, even scripted notes. They fluctuate dramatically between regrets, emotional manipulations, and direct warnings. I preserve them all, but I don't reply. Emily, complete quiet. Occasionally, I view her online profiles merely to confirm she's fine. She shares images with pals with her mother, grinning as if none of this transpired. Not a single mention of me, and me, I'm reconstructing, gradually, agonizingly, counseling assists. Acquaintances are gradually re-entering my existence now that the facts are revealed. But the marks persist. If somebody claims time mends every injury, they're deceiving. Certain injuries don't mend. They transform you. They render you cooler, keener, less credulous. But perhaps that's not entirely negative. Perhaps it's safeguarding. Because if Lydia imparted anything, it's this. The individuals nearest to you can plunge the blade most profoundly. 2 years elapsed after the legal battle. I maintained zero interaction with Lydia, and Emily remained devoted to her. My existence was gradually reassembling. I relocated to a fresh town, secured a calmer position that didn't exhaust my spirit, and even began seeing people informally. For the first occasion in ages, I sensed liberated, until Lydia re-emerged. It was the season of Emily's university commencement. I hadn't received an invitation, naturally, but I was informed via shared contacts. I wasn't planning to disrupt the event. I reasoned Emily merited her occasion sans conflict. But 3 evenings prior to the ceremony, I received a ring from an unfamiliar digit. Contrary to my wiser instincts, I responded. It was Lydia. Her tone was unsteady, overdramatic, nearly staged. "I'm perishing. The physician stated it's rapid. I lack much duration remaining. You don't want Emily to forfeit her parent without harmony among us, do you?" I remained mute. Awaiting, she proceeded. "I realize I injured you, but can't you perceive? Emily requires us both at her event. She'll never absolve you if you abstain, be the superior individual. Absolve me for her." My grip tightened on the device. Absolve her, after all? She desired me to shelve my self-respect once more so she could flaunt at Emily's event as if she hadn't demolished existences. I eventually stated, "Provide evidence, health documents, medical notations." Whatever, quiet, then she erupted. "Why are you perpetually so harsh? Why can't you simply relinquish the history? All right, remain spiteful. But don't approach weeping when Emily severs you eternally." And she terminated the call. No evidence, no ailment, merely another ploy. I didn't attend. I remained indoors, tidied the space, served myself a beverage, and anticipated the day's conclusion. But around 10 p.m., a rap at my entrance. Emily. She appeared enraged. She didn't even settle before assailing me. "You couldn't appear, could you? Mom informed me you accused her of fabricating the illness. You're repulsive. She's expiring and you still despise her more than you cherish me." I gulped it deeply. "Emily, your mother has fabricated at every turn. I requested verification. She declined. Doesn't that convey something?" She scowled at me. "All it conveys is you'll never halt chastising her. I don't comprehend why I even attempted offering you another opportunity." Her statements cut through me. I yearned to yell, to jolt her, to compel her to perceive the facts. But I refrained. I merely inquired softly, "Emily, when has your mother ever disclosed the truth when it counted?" For the initial instance, her countenance wavered, merely for a moment, but then she clenched her teeth and pivoted. "Disregard it. Relish solitude. You're adept at that." She departed. A week on, Lydia herself materialized at my residence complex. I only noticed her because a resident alerted me, stating a lady was causing a commotion externally. When I descended, there she stood, clad in dark attire, shades on, wailing audibly enough for the entire area to overhear. "Please, just converse with me. I can't endure this any longer. I'm ill. I'm destitute. I'm forfeiting all. You triumphed." "All right, you triumphed. But don't you venture to alienate Emily from me. She's everything remaining." Residents glanced from their panes. She was enacting the spectacle of her existence. I approached her directly, met her gaze, and declared audibly for all to hear, "You don't qualify to act the sufferer. You wrecked your union, your image, and your bond with me entirely on your own. And now you're attempting to pull Emily under with you, not this occasion." I addressed the residents and appended, "She's fabricating. Once more, please summon authorities if she persists in bothering me." Then I ascended back and closed the entrance. That marked the final occasion Lydia attempted to coerce me face to face. Following that, she turned to messages and ambiguous social media entries about disloyalty and perishing. But no one truly heeded anymore. Her deceptions had exhausted their path. Emily? She still avoids speaking to me. Perhaps she never will. Perhaps she'll eternally view me as the antagonist, since that's the narrative her mother instilled in her from the moment she could converse. I can't reverse that, but here's what I do comprehend. I held firm. I didn't yield to remorse. I didn't permit the lady who deprived me of a dozen years, who tainted my own offspring against me, to revise the conclusion. She desired me demolished. She desired me returning subserviently. She desired me to absolve her merely so she could retain dominance. Instead, I departed, and this time I didn't glance rearward.